Mommy.
Mommy. America.
Clay's little.
Your Majesty might want to take a few of these.
One person, just one person walked into a movie studio, made a single catastrophic decision, and burned $300 million to the ground. And I'm not talking about a bad script. I'm not talking about bad luck. I'm talking about one human being who single-handedly turned a guaranteed hit into the worst sci-fi disaster in box office history. But here's the thing that kept me up at night researching this video. It didn't just happen once. It happened 15 times. 15 sci-fi movies that had everything. The budget, the stars, the technology, and every single one of them was murdered by one person in the room that nobody stopped. We're talking about an actor who refused to read the script and rewrote his own lines on set, costing the studio $170 million. A director who fired the entire visual effects team 6 weeks before release. And at number 1, a decision so unbelievably stupid that it literally killed an entire franchise and ended 3 careers overnight. Number 15, Chappie, 2015. Neil Blomkamp was once called the future of science fiction. His debut film District 9 was made for only $30 million and earned $211 million worldwide. It got nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. So when he announced Chappie, Sony Pictures gave him $49 million and complete creative freedom. That creative freedom is exactly what destroyed this movie. Blomkamp made one decision that baffled every executive at the studio. He cast D. Antwoord, not as side characters, not as cameos, as the leads. Ninja and Yolandi Visser, 2 South African rap artists with 0 acting experience, were given more screen time than Hugh Jackman and Sigourney Weaver. Hugh Jackman was paid $5 million for a role that barely needed him. Dev Patel, who played the robot's creator, described the set as chaotic. Ninja allegedly went off script constantly, improvised scenes without approval, and clashed with Blomkamp over the tone of the film. The production became a power struggle between a director who refused to compromise his vision and a cast that didn't fully understand what that vision was. Chappie opened to $31 million domestically and limped to $102 million worldwide. Against its $49 million budget plus marketing costs estimated around $30 to $40 million, Sony took a significant loss. Blomkamp's reputation took a massive hit. Number 14, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, 2017.
Alex, did you enter the coordinates?
I took that liberty, so you could both enjoy the...
Luc Besson had been dreaming about this movie since he was 10 years old. The French comic series Valerian and Laureline was his childhood obsession. It inspired him when he made The Fifth Element in 1997. For 20 years, Besson waited for technology to catch up with his imagination. When it finally did, he bet everything on himself. And I mean everything. Valerian became the most expensive European film ever made. The budget was $177 million, and Besson financed a massive chunk of it independently through his own company, Europa Corp. This was not studio money. This was personal. He even mortgaged his creative legacy on a single roll of the dice. The visual effects were handled by Weta Digital and ILM, the same teams behind Avatar and Star Wars. Over 2,700 visual effects shots were created. The opening sequence alone, set in an interdimensional marketplace called the Big Market, cost tens of millions and took over a year to complete. But Besson made one catastrophic decision that sank the entire project before audiences even saw a frame of it. He cast Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne as his leads. DeHaan, who weighed barely 140 pounds, was supposed to play a roguish, charming space agent in the mold of Han Solo. Delevingne, a supermodel with limited acting credits, was supposed to carry the emotional weight of the entire story. Instead, Besson chose Delevingne after a single meeting in Paris. The box office was a bloodbath. Valerian opened to just $17 million domestically. It finished its worldwide run at $225 million, which sounds acceptable until you realize the break-even point was estimated at over $350 million. Europa Corp was financially devastated. The company filed for bankruptcy protection in 2018, directly tied to Valerian's losses. Besson didn't just lose a movie, he nearly lost his entire studio. Number 13, Speed Racer, 2008.
Hey, Pop.
Hey, Speedy. Where's your friend?
Her name's Trixie. She's...
In 2008, the Wachowskis were still riding the cultural shockwave of The Matrix. That trilogy had earned over $1.6 billion worldwide. So when Lana and Lily Wachowski pitched a live-action adaptation of the 1960s Japanese anime Speed Racer, the studio handed them $120 million without hesitation. The Wachowskis didn't want to make a normal movie. They wanted to create something that had never existed before. Every single race sequence was built entirely in virtual environments. The actors performed on green screen stages for months, with the entire world constructed digitally around them in post-production. The color grading alone took a dedicated team nearly a year to complete. The cast was stacked. The budget was enormous. The ambition was beyond anything animation or live action had attempted. But the Wachowskis made one critical decision that alienated their entire potential audience. They refused to ground the film in any form of reality. The visual style was deliberately hyperactive, oversaturated, and designed to mimic a cartoon in live-action form. Every frame was flooded with neon colors, impossible camera movements, and transitions that literally wiped characters across the screen like animated panels. Speed Racer opened to just $18 million domestically on its opening weekend. It finished with $93 million worldwide against that $120 million budget. Warner Brothers reportedly lost over $80 million. Number 12, Gemini Man, 2019, $5 million. Number 11, The Mummy, 2017.
Dead? No, but you're gonna...
Universal Pictures had a plan, a real, fully designed, extensively announced plan. Marvel had built a cinematic empire worth billions by connecting individual superhero films into one massive interconnected franchise. Universal looked at their own catalog and realized they owned the original cinematic universe, monsters that had been iconic since the 1930s. The studio called it the Dark Universe, and they chose The Mummy as the launchpad. The budget was $195 million. The marketing campaign was relentless. The ambition was staggering. And then they handed the keys to Tom Cruise. Cruise was paid a reported $26 million up front, but his compensation wasn't the issue. His control was. Cruise was given unprecedented creative authority over the production. During production, director Alex Kurtzman, who had never directed a major blockbuster before, reportedly struggled to maintain control on set. Cruise's stunt demands reshaped entire sequences. A zero-gravity plane crash scene required 64 actual parabolic flights on a specially modified aircraft, costing millions and weeks of shooting time. The Mummy earned $409 million worldwide, which sounds respectable until you factor in the $195 million budget plus an estimated $150 million in marketing. Universal reportedly lost over $95 million. Within days of the film's underperformance, the Dark Universe was essentially dead. Number 10, Mortal Engines, 2018. Anytime Peter Jackson attached his name to a project, studios are 100% sure of guaranteed returns. So when he championed a big-screen adaptation of Philip Reeve's novel Mortal Engines, Universal greenlit it with a $100 million production budget. But Jackson made one decision that would quietly doom the entire project. He didn't direct it. He handed the film to Christian Rivers. Rivers was Jackson's protege, a visual effects artist who had worked with him since the 1990s. He had won an Academy Award for visual effects on King Kong, but he had never directed a feature film. His entire career had been spent behind monitors. During production, Weta Workshop built stunningly detailed environments. The opening chase sequence, where London devours a small mining town, is genuinely breathtaking filmmaking. But the human story underneath all that spectacle felt hollow. Mortal Engines opened to a catastrophic $7.5 million domestically. It finished with $83 million worldwide, one of the biggest box office disasters of 2018. Number 9, The Last Airbender, 2010. The original Nickelodeon animated series of The Last Airbender is considered one of the greatest animated shows ever created. Its characters, world building, and emotional depth earned it a fan base of millions, spanning every age group. Paramount gave Shyamalan $150 million to bring it to life. The fans were cautiously excited. Then Shyamalan started making decisions, and every single one was wrong. The casting controversy ignited before a single frame was shot. The animated series featured characters clearly inspired by Inuit, East Asian, and South Asian cultures. Shyamalan cast Noah Ringer, a white actor with no professional credits, as Aang. Nicola Peltz, also white, was cast as Katara. Jackson Rathbone, fresh off Twilight, played Sokka. The only principal cast members of color were the villains. On set, the production was reportedly troubled from the start. Shyamalan chose to condense an entire 20-episode season into 103 minutes. Character arcs that had been developed across hours were reduced to single lines of exposition. The Last Airbender earned $319 million worldwide against its $150 million budget. The film holds a 5% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 8. Jupiter Ascending, 2015. Jupiter Ascending cost $176 million to produce. The Wachowskis poured every dollar into world building. The film featured elaborate alien civilizations, interplanetary politics, genetic harvesting conspiracies, and gravity-defying action sequences shot across locations in London, Chicago, and sound stages throughout England. Channing Tatum was cast as a half-wolf, half-albino splice warrior who flew through the sky on anti-gravity boots. Eddie Redmayne was cast as the villain Balaam Abrasax. His performance would become legendary, but for all the wrong reasons. Redmayne made a choice that defined and destroyed every scene he appeared in. He delivered almost all of his dialogue in a breathy, barely audible whisper, then would randomly explode into screaming fits without warning. It was a performance so bizarre that critics could not focus on anything else in the film. Redmayne himself would later call it the worst performance he had ever given, but the Wachowskis deserve equal blame. The script was overstuffed with lore that was never properly explained. Characters made decisions that served the plot rather than logic. Kunis's character was constantly rescued rather than given agency. A scene where Kunis's character navigates intergalactic bureaucracy, a direct homage to Terry Gilliam's Brazil, felt completely out of place in a film trying to be epic. Jupiter Ascending opened to $19 million domestically. It finished at $184 million worldwide. Number 7. Green Lantern, 2011. Ryan Reynolds made a joke about this movie inside Deadpool that became more famous than the movie itself. His character receives the Green Lantern script, looks directly at the camera, and warns his past self never to agree to it. The audience laughed. Reynolds laughed. However, Warner Brothers did not laugh, because by that point, they had already absorbed one of the most catastrophic superhero failures in Hollywood history. The budget was $200 million. Martin Campbell was hired to direct. His track record with franchise reinvention was perfect, but Campbell was a practical filmmaker who thrived with real stunts, real locations, and real tension. Green Lantern required the opposite. Nearly every frame needed digital enhancement. Reynolds' suit was entirely CGI, a decision that cost an estimated $9 million by itself. And here's the thing, the person who truly destroyed Green Lantern wasn't Campbell or Reynolds, it was Greg Berlanti, the original screenwriter and architect of the story. Berlanti's script tried to cram decades of Green Lantern mythology into a single origin film. There was no breathing room. No scene lasted long enough to land emotionally before the plot yanked the audience somewhere else. Green Lantern opened to $53 million domestically and finished at $219 million worldwide. The planned sequel was immediately scrapped. DC's cinematic universe ambitions were delayed by years. Number 6. Solo, a Star Wars story, 2018. No film in modern Hollywood history went through what Solo went through and still made it to theaters. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller were hired by Lucasfilm to bring a young Han Solo to life. They spent months in pre-production, assembled an amazing cast, and began principal photography on a production budgeted at approximately $250 million before marketing. They shot for months. They built the world. They were more than halfway through production. Then Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy fired them. Reports indicated she was unhappy with their comedic, improvisational approach to the material. Ron Howard was brought in to replace them. Howard didn't just do touch-ups. He reshot approximately 70% of the entire film. That essentially means the movie was made twice. The original budget was reported around $125 million, but the combined cost of two nearly complete productions pushed the final number to that $275 million figure. Solo opened to $84 million domestically. It became the first Star Wars film ever to be considered a financial failure. Number 5. Terminator: Dark Fate, 2019. James Cameron created the Terminator franchise. He wrote it, directed the first two films, and built one of the most enduring science fiction mythologies in cinema history. So when he returned as producer and story architect on Dark Fate, Audiences believed it was going to be massive. Instead, the film killed John Connor in the first 10 minutes, and that belief evaporated instantly. Behind the scenes, Cameron and Miller reportedly clashed throughout production. Their disagreements became so intense that Cameron allegedly had Miller removed from the editing process at one point. The film's new protagonist, Grace, played by Mackenzie Davis, was well performed, but couldn't overcome the emotional betrayal audiences felt from the opening scene. Dark Fate opened to $29 million domestically. It barely outperformed the previous sequel everyone hated. It finished at $261 million worldwide. Cameron has since spoken about the film's failure with what can only be described as selective reflection. Number 4. Fantastic Four, 2015. Josh Trank directed Chronicle in 2012 for $12 million. It grossed $126 million worldwide and announced Trank as one of the most exciting young directors in Hollywood. Fox saw the numbers, looked at their stalled Fantastic Four property, and made a decision that seemed logical on paper. Give the young visionary a $120 million budget and let him reimagine Marvel's first family for a new generation. What followed was one of the most catastrophic director-studio implosions in modern Hollywood history. The problem started almost immediately. Trank's vision for the film was dark, grounded, and inspired by David Cronenberg's body horror. He wanted the characters' transformations to feel terrifying rather than heroic. Fox wanted a commercial 4-quadrant superhero blockbuster that could compete with Marvel. These two visions were fundamentally incompatible, and neither side was willing to bend. Reports from the set painted a picture of complete chaos. One widely reported claim stated that Trank's dogs caused over $100,000 in damage to a property rented for him during filming in Baton Rouge. The night before the film's release, Trank posted a now-deleted tweet that read, "A year ago, I had a fantastic version of this, and it would have received great reviews. You'll probably never see it. That's reality, though." He was publicly disowning the film before audiences had even seen it. Fantastic Four earned $167 million worldwide against its $120 million budget, meaning it lost money even before marketing costs were factored in. Total losses were estimated at over $80 million. Number 3. Cats, 2019. When Tom Hooper said he wanted to adapt Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats, the longest-running musical in Broadway history, Universal Pictures gave him $95 million. The source material has been performed over 70,000 times in more than 30 countries. It was one of the most commercially successful stage productions in human history. But here's the thing. Hooper made one singular decision that doomed everything. He chose to use what he called digital fur technology to transform his actors into human-cat hybrids. Rather than using practical costumes or traditional makeup, Hooper had his entire cast perform in motion capture suits. Their human faces were then blended with CGI cat bodies, fur, ears, and tails. The technology was created specifically for this film. It had never been tested at this scale. Behind the scenes, the production timeline was punishing. Hooper was reportedly still finishing visual effects hours before the film's world premiere. In fact, the version shown at the premiere contained unfinished effects, including a shot where Judi Dench's human hand, complete with her real wedding ring, was clearly visible because the CGI fur hadn't been applied. The film earned $73 million worldwide against its $95 million production budget. When marketing costs estimated at over $100 million were factored in, Universal lost approximately $113 million. It swept the Razzies. It became a cultural punchline overnight. Number 2, Battlefield Earth, 2000. 15 years. John Travolta spent over 15 years trying to make this movie. Since the mid-1980s, Travolta had been personally campaigning to bring Battlefield Earth to the big screen. Every major studio rejected it, multiple times. Warner Brothers passed, Universal passed, Fox passed. The novel was over 1,000 pages long, widely considered unfilmable, and its connection to Scientology made executives nervous. But Travolta would not stop. Franchise Pictures, a production company later convicted of systematically defrauding investors, agreed to finance the film. The budget was reported at $73 million, though lawsuits later revealed that number was artificially inflated and the actual production cost was closer to $44 million. Travolta cast himself as Turl, the primary villain. He wore platform boots, massive prosthetic hands, a nose piece that extended several inches from his face, and dreadlocks that hung past his waist. The makeup and prosthetics took over 4 hours to apply each day. Roger Christian was hired to direct. And that was the problem. Christian made a visual choice that would define and doom the film. He shot nearly every single scene with a Dutch angle, meaning the camera was tilted diagonally. Every scene, every conversation, every action sequence. The camera was almost never level. The effect was meant to create a sense of alien unease. Instead, it made the film look like it was directed by someone who couldn't hold the camera straight. Battlefield Earth opened to $11.5 million on its opening weekend. It finished its domestic run at $21 million. Worldwide, it scraped to approximately $29 million. Against even the lower actual budget of $44 million, it was a disaster. Number 1. John Carter, 2012. 100 years before this film was released, a novel about a Civil War veteran transported to Mars influenced every major science fiction property of the 20th century. George Lucas cited it as a primary inspiration for Star Wars. James Cameron acknowledged its influence on Avatar. This was the great-grandfather of modern science fiction, and for nearly a century, Hollywood tried and failed to adapt it. Then, Andrew Stanton raised his hand. Stanton was a Pixar god. He had never directed a live-action film. Disney then gave him $263 million to make his first one. The problems began with the title. The source material was called A Princess of Mars. It was an evocative, intriguing, and immediately communicated genre. Stanton changed it to John Carter of Mars, then shortened it further to simply John Carter. His reasoning was reportedly that the word Mars in a title was box office poison, based on the failure of the 2011 film Mars Needs Moms. The marketing was catastrophic. Stanton reportedly clashed with Disney's marketing department throughout the campaign. He rejected multiple trailer concepts and poster designs. On set, Stanton's inexperience with live-action production led to significant overruns. He reportedly ordered extensive reshoots that added tens of millions to the budget. John Carter opened to $30 million domestically. Disney's stock price visibly dipped in the days following. The film finished its worldwide run at $284 million. And that's it. If this video made you rethink a film you wrote off, or showed you a story behind the story you never knew existed, subscribe to our channel. We go deep on the movies and decisions that shape the industry.